Hi everybody, it's Marie. Welcome back to Pear Tree Paper Crafts. I'm here today with another 12x12 process video for you. This one is for Lottie Loves Paper, so I have to say at the outset that this does class as an advertisement. And I am using my summertime kit to create a layout today. The layout was inspired by one of the scrap lifts over on Scrap Squad, and this is scrap lift 7. So head over to Facebook and check them out. They do a scrap lift every 2 weeks. Like I said, this is number 7. So I'm scrapping photographs of my little boy today. We went to a local pond recently and we played poo sticks and had ice cream, and it was just a lot of fun. So I'm scrapping a couple of photographs from that day. What you've already seen me do is use my ruler to just measure out where I was going to pop those eyelets. I've used my crocodile to punch 2 holes and then to pop the eyelets through. They're oversized eyelets, and then I've just tied some twine, it's like stripy twine, through the eyelets, and that's what I'm going to attach my photographs onto, or pretend to attach my photographs onto. And what I decided to do is use some of the papers from the 12x12 kit to create a couple of frames. There were no frames in the kit, but I wanted to put these photographs in frames, so I just decided to do my own. I drew around the photographs and then just cut a small border around, so I cut the inside part obviously smaller than the photograph, and then the outside larger, so it can be a little frame. And then I decided to do exactly the same again with this stripy paper on the bigger photograph. These papers are absolutely lovely. Some of them are Jen Hadfield, some of them are Pebbles, and they're lovely blues. I love a striped paper. I really do like using a striped paper. I try and squeeze those in whenever I can. So what I've done now is just popped a frame around each one. Now I'm just going to use a little bit of this green and create a little tab that's sticking out from the side of one of the photographs, and make it too big to start with, but then I just make it a bit smaller. And I've just kind of looking at the photographs and deciding that they just don't look quite framed enough. I like to map my photographs quite a lot, so I've decided to pop another couple of layers behind. So I use glue just to adhere the frames onto the photos, and then I start chopping down some of the cardstock to create some little pieces of paper that I can map my photographs on. So I decide in the end that I'm going to use, there's 2 different blues in the 12x12 paper pack, and there's that stripy one, and I decided to use all 3 on each photograph, just in a different order. I like that idea because it feels to me then like the photographs are uniform in a way, and they coordinate but are still different because the 2 frames I've made out of different colour cardstocks. So I'm just using double-sided sticky now to position the photographs onto those pieces that I'm using to mat, and I don't do them straight. I always do them wonky. I think sometimes when I try and do them straight they don't end up quite straight, so I'd rather just start off by doing them wonky anyway. And then I'm just taking some adhesive foam and popping them on the string there. I've cut a little strip of the adhesive foam out of the middle so that it would sit flat, because the string's quite thick and it was making the photograph bow, and I didn't like that, so I've made sure there's a gap in the middle so that doesn't cause a problem. And then I start popping some of the embellishments on. This is one of those layouts where I do quite a lot of faffing and changing my mind and doing things once and then doing them again. So what I'm doing here is using a couple of the labels from this freckled fawn. This is from the main embellishment kit, and I've used that Good Times one there up at the top, and then I like that little arrow one as well. I think that moves in the end, but it starts off up there. And then I use that long tab and I just bend it over to make a smaller tab that kind of hooks around the string and then gets stuck down. And then this is one of the branding strips off the bottom of one of the sheets from the 12x12 pack, and I love the brightness, and there's not really much of the bright colour on the layout, so I decided to use that to add some interest, and I pop it down the side of the large photograph and make a little tab out of it to stick on the string. So just sticking that one down, popping those underneath. They don't need dimension, I want those to sit flat, so they're not on foam. And then what I end up doing is taking these labels on and off this sheet so many times, and you'll see later in the video I do eventually decide how I'm going to use them. I just quickly go back to that branding strip to make another little ribbon to pop up at the top there. The way I'm doing my little ribbons is I do a little cut up the middle, and then from the corner to the centre for each, to get each point, and that gives a really good ribbon end there. I have started going through the embellishments, but in the end I think I take those two back off again. I don't feel they quite fit with the layout, and instead I just make another little ribbon tab for the top there. That little arrow moves down to the side. I use the rest of that little label at the side of that photograph as well. I do keep changing my mind quite often, but like I said, this ended up being quite a faffy layout, and it took me a while to be completely happy with it. And I even end up taking those back off and straightening them up, because I realise I've stuck them on a little bit wonky. So just trim those edges off. And then I'm going to look at the thickers, those black, they come with black words, and there's some little sort of icons with it. There's a cup and there's those glasses, and I toy with putting those on there as well. And then I go back down to this bottom corner to look at making another embellishment cluster. And in the end I do figure it out, and what I decide to do down here is to use a whole load of the labels together, and I make my own little cluster just by overlapping them all. I end up really happy with it in the end. I'm just playing again up at that top corner, moving that cup around, because I do like the flamingo. We did go to feed the ducks, so whilst there were no actual flamingos there were ducks, so I felt that the flamingo fit quite nicely, and it was nice and bright. It brightened up the page. I do toy with that bottle, but then I'm not happy with that either, so I have another flick through the embellishments. And then I do wonder about popping these stars on, but it hasn't got anything to do with stars, so I decided to take those back off. And I make another little tab to go down at that bottom corner, but I do decide that one is too small, so I make a bigger strip. And that really sets off those rainbow coloured labels there that I've popped on. So that goes there, and then what I do is I just pop this little cluster on top of that one, and it makes a lovely cluster in that bottom corner. And then I start playing with some enamel dots, matching with the original because they're kind of dotted all over. So I just dot a few multicoloured ones around the page, move them around a couple of times, but then I do end up quite happy with where they go. And then I decide to go back to these thickers, and the cup goes back on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these freckled fawn little label stickers, and I'm going to pop a couple of words on these labels that I've popped on. So I go for fun over there, but I decide that fun's not going to fit particularly well on that label, and instead I decide to use the bottom one instead and cover up that bit of that rainbow, and that fun goes there instead. And again, just swapping and changing things until I'm completely happy with the placement of everything on the page. I do wonder about putting that other rainbow tab up there, but I feel it might just be one rainbow tab too much. And then that cup comes off yet again, and I do swap it back for the flamingo. So I'm just going to do a little bit of journaling, see what's going on, and then the last thing I do is I put my title on, which just fits down here, and I go with the word happy. And it is from Oh Happy Day, but I decided to sort of repurpose it into a different title. I used the My, and then I just put Boy at the side using those little stickers again. I do like those little stickers from Freckled Fawn. They're like multicoloured, very pretty. I think a little bit of filming may have gotten missed while I ummed and ahed about what I was doing, and you'll see in the top corner there it does now say enjoy, and there's another little ribbon tab up there. And the last thing I'm going to do now is just drop some black ink, distress ink, on the page to finish it off. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and head over to Scrap Squad to see what the other scrap lists are like, and head on over to Lottie Loves Paper and have a look in the shop. There's lots of new collections. Bye for now.